All right, let's go ahead and put a stop to the myth that the words you're saying is the reason that you sound salesy, because it's not. You sound salesy because of what your intention is before you even open your mouth. You're probably trying to convince people to do something for your reasons. And here's the thing, they can feel that within the first 5 seconds of every single call. Here's what that's actually costing you. The seller, when you speak to them, they're deciding who you are instantly. Are you another pushy agent, or are you somebody worth talking to? Once they make that decision, you can never get that time back. So today I'm going to show you why you sound salesy even when you have the perfect script. And I'm going to show you the 3 moves that actually flip that. I'm going to show you how a new agent set 22 listing appointments in his first 30 days without a script. Let's get after it. So most agents, they think the fix for sounding better, right, is a better script, smoother lines, the perfect thing to say. Well, what do? They practice the script over and over again. They tighten up the delivery. They end up sounding more like a salesperson, not less, and then they fail. Here's why. People judge you super fast, faster than you think. You get judged by a prospect in like 10 seconds. So if you're nervous, if you're fast talking, if you're trying to push, that screams one thing, salesperson. And once you're in that box they put you in, it's literally impossible to climb out. They're now not hearing your words. They're just tolerating the call until they get a chance to hang up on you. Okay, so the better you get at the script, the better you get at sounding exactly like the person they're trying not to have to speak to. So sounding different is not about the magic script. Mark my words on this. It's about how you make them feel as soon as you start the conversation. Do they feel pressured? Or do they feel like you're a person just trying to speak to another person? Write this down. Never forget it. You cannot script your way out of sounding scripted. Let me show you what actually is happening under the hood here, because once you see it, you'll never unsee this. There's actually 3 levels that you can work on whenever you're persuading a person, right? Their thoughts, their emotions, and their patterns, which is just the way they behave on instinct. Your scripts, they live at the very top. The thoughts, the words. It's the weakest layer it is. And it happens to be where most of the agents, or even yourself, you work on that one layer. And here's the thing, this is also where most coaches actually teach you to stay on. So you're pouring all of your energy to one layer with the least amount of influence. That is why you can say all the right things and still get cussed out, still get rejected. Now, when you take a step back, here's what you realize. You never broke their pattern. You never created any emotion. You simply went straight into the words, and that was the end game. Here's the second thing that's happening, and it's actually physics. Picture a pendulum. Right here, this pin. The harder you pull it one way, the harder it swings back the next way, right? Selling works the same way. The harder you pull your prospect towards you and make a case for why they should sell, the harder they swing back and make a case for why they shouldn't. So every time you try to convince, you're literally manufacturing the resistance that you're trying to avoid. You're setting yourself up to be defended against. Okay, so here's the shift that changed everything. The goal of every single call is not to get them to do anything. Set with that just a second. It's not to convince anybody of anything. It's to find the truth. That's it. Is there a real problem that I can help this person with? If there's no pain, there's no sale. It's that simple. Imagine you go to the doctor and the doctor comes in, doesn't ask you any questions, and starts trying to amputate your leg. Well, besides suing that doctor right off the bat, you're probably never ever gonna use them again, right? Of course not. Who would? That's insane. But what do doctors do instead? Think about this. They come in, they ask you questions, and they find out where you are in pain at, right? How long have you been in pain? How much pain are you actually in? Then when they find that out, they make a recommendation for something that could fix the pain, right? They don't force you to do anything. Or do they try to create the pain themselves? No, they just ask you questions. So when we are trying to talk people into buying or selling, we're trying to manufacture reasons for them selling or buying that do not exist. This is why you sound salesy and prospects instantly pull away from you and reject you. So the second you stop trying to convince people, you stop sounding salesy. It's because you're not pulling anymore. You're genuinely curious and will only try to help them if you find out they actually need your help, right? And sounding curious and asking curious questions never comes across as a sketchy salesperson. So here's what I want you to do instead. Here's the 3 moves I was telling you about. You can actually run all 3 of these on your next call. Here we go. Move number 1, be honest about where they are feeling or what they're feeling before they bring it up. It's just called tactical empathy. Okay, the fastest way you can not sound like a salesperson is to call out the fear that they're probably feeling when they find out you're an agent. So the second they pick up, you say something like this. Look, I'll be upfront with you. I'm a realtor, which I know you're probably thinking I'm calling to try to sell your home, but I'm really not. I just had a quick question before you hang up on me. Is that okay? Now, look at what that actually did there. You said what they were probably already thinking. Okay, you said it out loud before they did. You disarmed the pressure and you handed them back control. You asked permission for the conversation, and nobody that's a pushy salesperson does that. What did you do? You broke the pattern. That's what you have to do first. This single move right here has caused many sellers to actually stay on the call with me when they've hung up on hundreds of other agents. Move number 2, ask, don't tell. This is a big one. Telling is never selling. People don't believe what you say. They believe what they say. So your job is to not deliver scripts. It's to ask questions that get them doing the talking. The agent who talks the least usually always walks away with the listing. So if you're talking more than the seller, you're selling. If they're talking more than you, they're convincing themselves. You get that? So get genuinely curious. What made them think about selling? What would have to be true for it to even make sense for them? And maybe it doesn't. And actually listen. You're not waiting to turn it into a pitch. You're trying to understand this person better than any other agent bothered to do. That's important. Now, move number 3, say the thing that doesn't help you. Okay, this one feels backwards and it works every time. All right, sellers hear everything you say through one filter. It's bias. This person is only telling me this or asking me this because it benefits them. You break that filter by saying something that clearly doesn't benefit you, right? Something like, honestly, I might not be the right agent for you. Or look, even if you never hire me, here's what might actually help you. Look, it actually makes more sense for you to keep the home instead of selling it. I mean, can I explain? Now look, the moment you sound like you're willing to lose the business, you now stop sounding like you actually need the business. And if you want the real truth, from my perspective, this is where faith quietly does the work for me. I've learned that the people that I speak to on the other side of the phones, they're not my providers. God is. And when you truly get that, the need to actually win the business disappears. And that detachment right there is what draws people closer to you in the first place. Which, by the way, I did put these 3 moves that I just went over on a 1-page sheet. The exact permission opener, word for word, plus the 2 questions that really get the seller talking. Totally free. It's in the description. It's called the Sound Less Salesy Opener. No, it's kind of silly. Go ahead and grab it. Run it tomorrow. I want you to have something tangible that you can actually use, not just listening to the video. Now, let me make this real with somebody who isn't me, clearly. I had a student. His name was Lake. He was a newer agent. He didn't have years of experience, but by every excuse in the book, Lake should not have been able to compete with all the veterans in his market. He was in a very busy market. In 30 days, he set 22 listing appointments. 22. That's the fastest start anybody has ever had in my program. Now, let me be clear. He didn't do it by sounding better. He did it by sounding human. He asked for permission. He was very curious. He let the seller do the talking. He wasn't performing on a script. He was having a conversation that made the seller feel understood. And right there, that is a big difference. Now here's the part for you. I've personally closed over 1,000 homes in my career. I think public records at this point shows about 1,045 or something like that. It's about $122 million in just listings. Now, I say that because when I first started, I used to stutter on every single call. I could not even get a sentence out for a very long time. However, even at that point, I was still winning listings. And it wasn't because I sounded polished. It was because I stopped trying to sound like a salesperson and I tried to connect with them human to human. I tried to understand them. So on your next call, don't just go for a better line. Try to do less. Be honest first. Ask real emotional driven questions, then close your mouth and listen, okay? The seller never felt like I was selling them, and that is when they wanted to actually work with me. So here's what I want you to take away from this whole entire video. Number 1, you don't sound salesy because of your scripts and your words. You sound salesy because you're trying to convince people to do something. Stop trying to convince. Number 2, be honest about the emotion they feel before they say it. Ask instead of tell. Speak against your best interest. It builds trust. Number 3, the agent who talks the least and needs it the least is the one who usually walks away with more listings. Now, none of this actually clicks. I get that before you understand this one principle underneath it. You cannot convince anyone to list with you in the first place. Go ahead and watch this video right here. It's where I break down why that's so true and what to do instead. All right? Go take a look at it. That's all I got for you today. God bless. I'll see you in the next one.